Hi guys, this is Landeen here with Ollie, who's looking out the window right now. Say hi, Ollie. Say hi to the grade 4. Natalie. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoy or are enjoying or have enjoyed your jumping beans that I gave you. They're pretty fun. I know sometimes it's hard to get them to wake up, so I wanted to just tell you what I do to get them awake. I put them in my hand. It's hard for me to get you to see this, but I put them in my hand like this, and then I just close my hand up, and I just hold them like that for a little while. Or sometimes I will take them when they're in my hand and like blow hot air, like blow from my mouth, just blow on them. And then that sometimes works. And sometimes you just got to do that and then just let them sit for a few minutes and see if they'll wake up. But they're pretty cool. Actually, little larvae in there, or caterpillars, that I'm not really exactly sure how it works, but I know that the moth lays eggs on the plant, and then when the plants make seeds, the eggs get inside the seed, and so then so that's what the bean is. That's the seed part of it, and then they eat it. So when they hatch, the caterpillar that's in there eats the inside of the jumping bean, or the bean, and that's the food for the caterpillar. And then eventually, if we leave it there and it stays living and it has enough, water, you're supposed to spritz them like once a week, then they could really actually hatch into a moth. You might not want to tell your parents that. I'm thinking they're not going to want any moths flying around the house, but it's pretty cool stuff anyway. So I'm going to let mine sit there to wake up, and if they wake up, I'll show you, all right? So, back to our book, Wildfire. Oh, and I wanted to tell you, hopefully you guys are all reading at home, right? I know some of you are. And I am, and so the book I'm reading is called Where the Crawdads Sing. That's really good. I had a hard time putting it down last night to go to bed. All right, so we are on chapter 23, which was Hot Snowflakes. What's that? Delphi wants to know, looking up at a patch of sky. We're searching along the logging trail for a branch that's strong enough to pry the Jeep off the tree. Remember, they were going to use it as a lever to get it off. Making sure we don't stray out of sight of the trail. One night lost in the woods is more than enough, thank you. When Delphi notices something in the air. It looks like gray snowflakes. Ash. I hold out my hand to catch a few flakes. Still warm. Blowing ahead of the fire, I guess. We don't have much time, do we? I don't know. Honest. Fat Freddy said it was moving a mile an hour, but that was yesterday. With the wind, who knows? Delphi sweeps hurriedly through the underbrush, using her stick to push aside old leaves and pine needles. This'll do, she announces, lifting one up from a sturdy spruce the end of a sturdy spruce branch. So spruce trees are kind of like pine trees that you would, like Christmas trees. I grab the other end and we drag it back to the Jeep. Delphi studies the vehicle and the tree it's leaning against and announces that we need to get high purchase. What's that? I ask. Best place to put the lever. Sorry, I keep looking over at my jumping beans to see if they're jumping, so I need to pay attention to just reading the story, I guess. Best place to put the lever. Up high, just under where it meets the tree. Come around to the side and help me. The branch is about 6 inches around and maybe 10 feet long and too heavy for one person to handle. With both of us sweating and grunting like weightlifters, we managed to jam the end in place. Hold the weight on your shoulder, like this, she tells me. Harder for me because I'm shorter, but I manage to do it. And then we're pushing against the branch with all our might. Our backs are to the Jeep, so I can't see what's happening. But our big lever must be working because I can feel it, the weight shifting. Then suddenly, we're falling forward, scrambling to avoid having the big branch fall on us. And there's a whomping sound of steel and springs hitting the ground hard. The Jeep has landed upright. In a cloud of dust and pine needles, I walk around it, surveying the damage. The windshield is smashed, the headlights shattered, but all 4 tires are holding air. We hurriedly grab the canned goods and jug of water and load them into the back of the Jeep, along with Delphi's backpack. The smoke makes my eyes sting. You think it will start? She asks. Only one way to find out. I carefully climb into the driver's seat and test the steering wheel. Feels solid. I push in the clutch and then press my other foot against the starter pedal. The engine turns over but doesn't start. So it kind of makes a sound like it wants to, but it won't. And the battery sounds weak. I get out from behind the wheel. That's it? You're giving up? I think it needs fuel. Like maybe the gas leaked out of the carburetor when it was tipped on its side. Delphi helps me get the hood open. I'm trying not to panic with all the sweat and smoke. Sam, hurry up. I'm no mechanic, but I remember Dad working on his pickup truck, an older model, and adjusting the carburetor. Him explaining how it squirts gas into a mist that is inhaled by the cylinders, or something like that. All I really know is that an engine needs fuel. Delphi pumps the gas pedal. I put my ear to the carburetor and hear the sound of squirting gas. Okay, I say, lowering the hood. Give it a few minutes to make sure it isn't flooded, and I'll try it again. Sam, we may not have a few minutes. Ouch! The falling ash now contains live sparks. Oh my, it's catching up to them, I think. I look up, and sure enough, some of the higher spruce branches are starting to wink into flame. I slip behind the wheel and give it a go. The starter turns over once, twice, and then the engine roars to life. And next thing, we're speeding down the old logging trail under a shower of ash and sparks. Me and Delphi in the Jeep, which seems to be as alive as we are. Lucky. All right, chapter 24, the last branch. And my beans are still not awake, so I'm going to put them in my hand for a few minutes while I read. 2 or 3 miles down the trail, and we're out from under the falling sparks, mostly. I say mostly because, much to my surprise, Delphi pours water on my head and then explains that my hair was starting to catch fire. Ah! You look like a human candle, she says, very pleased with herself. It's not funny. It's kind of funny. A teeny little bit, she says, chuckling. You can smile now, Sam. We made it. We escaped. I start to say, yeah, for now, but then decide to keep my mouth shut. Maybe she has the right idea. Be happy when you get the chance, and never mind what may be coming around the next bend in the trail. But I can't help worrying about that. Look what one moose did to us. We'd probably have found a real road by now, if not for that moose. Add to that the mistake of chasing a plane that couldn't possibly see us through the tree cover, even if it was searching for us, which it obviously wasn't. So far, we've been lucky, keeping ahead of the fire, but sooner or later, our luck will run out. We'll make a wrong turn, or make a bad decision, or the dirt bikers will catch up. One way or another, we'll find ourselves surrounded by flames, and that'll be it. Sorry, Mom. I tried. I really did. I'm haunted by the fact that we don't know where we are. other than somewhere to the north and west of where we started. We don't even know exactly where the fire is or where it's going next. You have to be in a helicopter to see the shape of the fire. Visibility at ground level isn't much better than 100 yards in the deep forest, and in some of the most overgrown areas, much less. I push in the clutch and shift to neutral. We slow to a stop. Delphi looks anxious. What's up? She wants to know. Let's try the radio again. Maybe Fat Freddy has some good news. Delphi nods, removes the little radio from her backpack, pulls out the antenna, and starts cranking. She presses the on button. Static. Where on the dial? She asked. 98.6. She tries fine-tuning, aiming the antenna around, but all we get is static. Maybe we're at a Oh, I feel something in my hand moving. Oh, that's good. My beans are waking up. I'll show you after I'm done reading, okay? Maybe we're out of range, I say, trying to not sound disappointed. Or maybe he got rescued, or the generator ran out of fuel or broke down. Maybe, she says doubtfully. I always thought it was funny the way he talks about broadcasting from the lowest official mountain. But even from the lowest mountain, he can probably see the fire coming from a long way off. He'll have time to get out. He'll have time to get out of there. I hope so. The last time we tuned in, he sounded scared. Thinking about height and visibility gives me an idea. I put the Jeep in first gear and let out the clutch. We trundle along at about 10 miles an hour. I asked Delphi to keep an eye out for a tall, straight tree with climbable branches. Are you crazy? Is her first response. And then she goes, oh, I get it. Maybe you can see where the fire is? Maybe. And I might even be able to spot a road if I get high enough. You have to promise you won't fall. Well, I won't fall. I'm a good climber, I say, which is only partly a fib. It's true. I once climbed almost to the top of a tree outside our house, but it was a one-way trip. I was too scared to come down. It's like a cat, right? Oh, here we go. Dad had to rescue me with a rickety extension ladder. Said I was worse than a cat. And if I tried it again, don't forget to bring a parachute. Later, overhearing what he said to Mom, I realized he was as freaked out as me. Dad was fearless about most things, even though he never let me know it. He was scared to death I might fall before he got to me. Finding the right sort of tree turns. Sorry. Sean's distracting me. Mr. Landeen's over there, typing on the phone and distracting me. So that's what the beeping is if you hear it. Finding the right sort of tree turns out to be harder than I thought. Delphi spots some really tall pines. White pines are the official state tree, but most of them don't have branches low enough to grab. It's not like we have climbing gear or even ropes, so it has to be a tree where I can climb branch to branch and high enough to get a clear view over the top of the forest. After 15 minutes or so of searching, Delphi points into the woods. Slow down. How about that one? Branches are too high. Yeah, but see that tree growing next to it? Leaning on it, actually? I stop and turn off the engine. Might work. Let's check it out. The closer we get, the better it looks. The big tree rises straight up through the forest and has lots of sturdy-looking branches, starting at about 30 feet off the ground and leaning up against it like a boxer that lost a fight is an old twisted tree with branches that are barely over my head. You sure you want to do this? Delphi peers up into the mass of branches. It looks pretty sketchy. No problem. If I get stuck, just call the fire department. Ha ha. Seriously though, it looks dangerous. I'll be fine. I grab hold of the lowest branch. Delphi gives me a boost and I swing over on top of the branch and then scoot along on my stomach, arms wrapped around until I get to the main trunk. Then I stand up and start climbing branch to branch, always holding on with both hands. The old tree is close to the big pine that switching over to the taller tree is easier than I thought. They say if you're scared of heights, you should never look down. Not a problem in this case, because the branches are so full that all I can see below me is boughs thick with pine needles. They look almost soft, like if I fell, the boughs would catch me. And maybe they would. Not that I want to find out. No, I'm being as careful as possible. My hands sticky with pine sap from holding on so tight. Every so often, Delphi shouts from below to ask me if I'm okay, and I shout back. Her voice sounds farther and farther away, and I still can't see the surrounding trees. Pausing to look up, I decide a few more branches in height will put me in the clear. Or as clear as it's going to get, unless I go all the way to the top, which is impossible. Too skinny up there. Too waving in the wind. Just 2 more branches. That's all I need to see my way clear. The last branch is the one that almost kills me. Cliffhanger. Tree hanger. Alright, so my little jumping beans are awake, or at least one of them is, because I've been feeling it. So let's see if I can get them on the camera for you to see. Let's see if they move. Apparently they must have only liked it when I had my hand closed. Seriously, I thought they were going to be moving all over the place for you. Anyway, I'll see if I can get them to move and take a video of it later. Bye for now. See ya for the next 2 chapters.